let me walk you through the steps. It's a great question. This is for information purposes. Please do not use this information to run a scam. I'm just going to ask you to not do that because the world is full of them right now. And not only that, they're becoming less and less profitable as people figure this stuff out. Here's how it works in the normal way. In other words, this is not the scam, but this is exactly how commerce, the old way of doing commerce would work. Let's say that you make shovels in your garage and you have a market for people who want to buy your shovels because you're using really good steel or whatever, okay, whatever the process is. And you want to expand your operation a bit because you're too busy. You can't sell enough of your product to your customers. Your demand has exceeded your supply, and it's exceeded it so much that you can't keep up. So you then go to, in the old days, you would go to maybe a stockbroker. You would take your company public, and you would offer shares of your company to investors. Now, investors is gamblers. Let's be very clear on that. They are gambling that you will treat their money with respect, with courtesy, or with dignity and respect. You will treat their money as though it was your money, and that you will treat them as you know what I'm saying? Okay, that was the idea behind it. And what they were doing is they were buying shares of your company as a vote of confidence in your business. Okay, and they wanted to own the company because they believed in your company. They weren't just buying a stock; they were buying a piece of your company. That's the original, according to Hoyle, way of buying into a company. Okay, that you genuinely want to own the company because you like the company and you believe it will be profitable long term, not just right now, but in the long term as well. Okay, this is your basic, for lack of a better explanation, Warren Buffett style investment strategy. You're looking for really well-run companies that will last the test of time. Okay, so here's how the scam part works. What you do as a broker is you find a company like that's a small company, you make your shovels, and then say, well, hey, I'll take your company public, but I'm going to, I'm going to give you some money, and you're going to be in on this deal with me. You're going to own the stock on paper. I'm going to sell shares for you. And then I'm going to have, my proxy, somebody who is not me, and somebody who has ideally got a couple of layers of separation from me, is going to then take some of the shares of yours that we're not telling anybody we're selling. And once the stock gets pumped up from, let's say it starts off at $5, and then it starts pumping, my brokers, I send all of my brokers out there to cram that stock down everybody's throats, okay? And it starts to pump. And of course, the investors, if you want to call them that, at this point, the investors are excited because, oh, wow, look at the share price. The share price is going up. Again, the company could be completely crap, right? You may not know what you're doing at all, but the investors, what they see is number go up. That's what they see, number go up. So they see it going up, they're excited, they're happy and everything, but while it goes up, when it starts to get up from, let's say, $5 to maybe, let's say, the $15 range, then some of the shares that are on the back end start getting sold into the marketplace at the higher number, okay? And then that money actually comes out because there's actual money changing hands for that. So then the money goes to, your proxy, who's got a couple of layers of separation between the broker and that guy. He sells them all off. He gets a cut of the action. So do you, the owner of the shovel company. You get a cut of the action too, with the understanding that you cannot sell off the rest of this. You have to let it kind of sit there, because we want to skim the top. You shear a sheep, you skin it once, right? Okay, that's how this works. You shear a sheep over and over and over, but you only skin it one time. So yeah, so you want to leave it there, okay? But everybody's happy because there's few grand here, a few grand there, you know, 50, 100,000 bucks, 50,000, 100,000 bucks, you know, coming in, and everybody's happy and stuff. And that's how in theory it is supposed to work. Okay. We're taking greed out of this. Okay. It's like, you ever see the movie Casino, right? Where there's the bosses in Kansas City, and the narrative, you know, the Joe Pesci narrative. He's like, you know, this case that they're delivering to the bosses is all the bosses wanted. They weren't greedy. They weren't like, that's all they wanted was just the skim off the casino. That's it. They didn't want, you know, they're just taking cash. It goes from one side to the other, and everybody's happy, right? Like that's as long as nobody gets greedy, then it'll work out just fine. The problem comes in is that usually somebody somewhere gets greedy. Typically the shovel company owner who says, wow, look at the millions of dollars on paper that I have, and then decides to start selling his shares, and this crashes the Ponzi scheme. That's effectively what it is. Okay, so that's how that mechanism functions. So it's done all the time. By the way, I mean I'm not telling people to do this. Please don't do this. Okay, I'm just explaining that is the mechanism by which this is done. I'm leaving out a bunch of little stuff, but I mean you get the gist of it. Okay, now the reason it's still being done to this day, it's because it's being done on an industrialized level. So many funds, you know, mutual funds, hedge funds, funds of funds. I'm not kidding. That's actually a thing. It's I think Peter Lynch called it the fund house, where there was funds of funds of funds. Right? This all started coming around right along with all of the collateralized debt obligations and on, monetizing all of this debt. All of that is, I'm shifting the conversation slightly, but like that's all becoming a problem because the debt is becoming worth less and less and less. Okay, the debt itself, all of these collateralized debt obligations, the debt is becoming worth less and less and less because the asset valuation is so far exceeding everything that nobody believes. Like, how many people out there who bought a house for $300,000 last year, assuming you could find one, for 300 grand, believe that seriously that house went up in value 200 grand in 1 year? Come on. That's not what happened. You are not that good of an investor. You're not that good a gambler, okay? And even if that did happen to you one time, why did it happen to everybody else? Yeah, see, that would be like everybody going to the casino and everybody winning. That's not how casinos work, okay? The vast majority lose. That's statistically, that's math, okay? That's how casinos stay open. Casinos are run on pure math. When you understand the math, then you understand that, like, you stop gambling because you understand the math. We're not talking about for entertainment. Hey, look, you want to go blow $50 at the blackjack table, go do whatever you want. I can't touch you on that. I'm just talking about, like, if you genuinely believe that you're going to somehow beat all of these odds that are constantly going against you, no, because the odds don't change. Your probabilities might change slightly, but your odds stay the same, okay? Because math. My allergies are messing with me today. So anyway, on an industrialized level, so now, of course, brokers get a hold of a small company and they just shove it into the funds, and it just goes and it just gets churned and burned because it has to look like there's always something going on. It has to look like there's always all this economic growth. And this also helps your governments. The reason the governments are helped on this is because look how awesome everything is. Look at how great everything is. Our country's doing fantastic. Our economy's doing fantastic. That's all for show. It's no different. Every country does this, by the way. Every country does this. Every time you see those TikTokers, I'm not picking on my TikTok guys. I'm just pointing out that are going on about, like, oh, look how awesome this country is. I need to leave America and go here. Dude, the grass is always greener on the other side. Every country does that. Every country does that. They show how awesome it is in this other country to get people to want to go there and spend money. As soon as the money runs out, I promise you, that country will say, you have 30 days left on your visa, get out. I promise you, as soon as the money runs out, that's what happens. This concludes my explanation.